If there is one personality trait that correlates with success in every sphere of human activity, it is that self-control, that self-discipline, that willpower. So, the secret to awaken your best self, which is focus, that is built on your ability to shut off distractions with the help of self-discipline. There was one social researcher in Stanford in the 1950s called Walter Mischel. He wanted to check the self-control of toddlers, of 3-year-olds. So he designed this experiment and called it the toddler's torture, torturing of toddlers. How was the torture done? He would get the toddler and place before the little one a marshmallow and say, if you like, you can eat it. But if you don't eat it for 20 minutes, then I'll take this away and give you 2. See, now you can't tell the toddler that, you do this, then your future will be bright. So, 20 minutes. Either you have immediate pleasure now, or you hold on and 20 minutes later you will get double the pleasure. So, Walter Mischel of Stanford, he tested 500 toddlers. They would put them there, leave the marshmallow, and then go behind and see from the window what happens. For some of the toddlers, it was a no-go. When there's gratification there, what's there to think about? Forget it. Some of the toddlers deliberated over this puzzle for 2 minutes. First time in my life, this puzzle has come before me. Don't eat it, then you will get 2. I never thought of such things. After 2 minutes, the intellect could give way to the tuggings of the mind. Eat it. Some toddlers held on for full 7 to 8 minutes. And the way they would desist was also interesting. They would try and distract themselves. Don't look at it. But after 7 to 8 minutes, it was just irresistible now. Some toddlers actually held on for the full 20 minutes. And after 20 minutes, they received the reward, 2 marshmallows. Now an interesting twist happened to this later on. Walter Mischel's daughters were also among the tested children. And they subsequently, when they grew up, also went into Stanford. So interest in this study was revived. And researchers said, let's find out how are the children doing now. And they discovered that those children, subsequently they continued following them for the next 15-20 years. They discovered one very revealing and interesting fact. It was found that the children with the maximum self-control were excelling in all realms of human activity. They were doing well in studies because they had self-control. When the mind said this, no. They had better control over their tongue. They were eating the proper things. Their health was better. They were not lazy. They were exercising. They had far better physique. They did not have chemical addictions. When they worked, they were sincere. They were getting promoted rapidly. Because they could control their words, they had more interpersonal harmony. And those children with the least self-control, they were the ones getting into all kinds of problems. Their bodies were out of shape because there was no control over the tongue. They repeatedly had interpersonal relational conflicts because they had these fits of anger. They were insincere in their studies. Their SAT scores were far below. They were repeatedly dismissed from their jobs. They had chemical addictions, and 12% of them had been to jail and come back. That is when these researchers concluded that if there is one personality trait that correlates with success in every sphere of human activity, it is that self-control, that self-discipline, that willpower. So, we are discussing the secret to awaken your best self, which is focus, that is built on your ability to shut off distractions with the help of self-discipline. Now that we know it is so important, how can we develop it within ourselves? There's one scientist called Roger Ferber. He presented the technique called Ferberization of babies to help them develop their self-control. What is Ferberization? You must have heard of galvanization of steel. You probably have heard of vulcanization of rubber tubes as well. So now hear about Ferberization of babies. What is this Ferberization? It is their sleep training between the age of 6 months to 2 years. What happens is, when the baby cries, the parents' immediate response is, no, you should not face any problems. Come, Mama is here to the rescue. It's all right, don't cry. So the baby doesn't learn to handle that stress, that pain, that difficulty, because the parents have over-insulated it. So Roger Ferber said, no, resist. Let the baby cry for this much time on the first day, and then you go and just touch it. Don't immediately lift the baby. Let the baby know you are there. And then after so many minutes, you lift the baby. And the second day, you change the timing like this. So he's created a whole schedule. Once, I was in somebody's house. And nowadays, as parents do, they've got the video cam on their child while they are working in the other room. So I said, your baby is woken up and is crying. So they said, Swamiji, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter? Doesn't matter. So we saw on the video cam the baby was crying, and then after some time the baby stopped crying and started speaking to herself. She had learned to handle the situation. The self-discipline had developed. It's like the muscles you exercise and they grow stronger. So she faced a situation, learned to cope with it. From childhood, some people can develop this muscle of self-discipline. However, most of us were not Ferberized as babies. What to do at this age now? Is it possible to develop willpower at this age as well? Definitely, unfortunately. Let's go into the physiology of willpower. See, this willpower actually comes from a portion of our brain. The human brain is special amongst all the creatures in that it is 1/50th of the body weight. Highest in proportion to the body weight. But it's also special because it's got one feature called the prefrontal cortex. That is the prefrontal lobe of the neocortex. And that gives you the ability to trump. Trump means The mind says this is pleasurable. The prefrontal cortex says no, don't do it. The mind says this is painful. The prefrontal cortex says nevertheless do it. That prefrontal cortex is very little developed in small children. So they don't have that control. But as you come into adolescence, it starts growing bigger and bigger and bigger. Now this prefrontal cortex gives you the ability for self-control.
The Radha Krishna Temple of Dallas invites you to join the online family camp and retreat with Swami Mukundananda. Get absorbed in Harinam through melodious bhajans and delve into your deeper self with relaxing meditations. Fulfill your spiritual yearning through introspective discourses by Swami Mukundananda. Special video lectures by Shri Kripaluji Maharaj to savor the nectar of Bhakti Yoga. In addition, food for thought, offering interactive group discussions on profound Vedic knowledge. But that's not all. If you desire to perform for the Lord, participate in our cultural events, or simply showcase your hidden talents at Mehfil, we have something for everybody. Shape up your child's personality with the principles of Vedas in the presence of Swami Mukundananda himself. The Hindu Family Camp and Retreat, an opportunity to grow from within, but along with your entire family. Register today at radhakrishnatemple.net.